Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Bsqr, the Technical Trader, and it's Wednesday, the 22nd of December. These are the charts of the day. Some new ones, some old ones, but basically the market continues to plow higher, although we're seeing signs of strain and perhaps some momentum loss. Still, quite a few stocks that look pretty darn good. Accretive Health, which we pointed out last month, then moved in after its big pop, of course, moved into a big wedging type pattern. Got very narrow and quiet the last few sessions until yesterday when it popped. Got up to resistance right at the high from the June rally and the all-time high post-IPO. Then today up another 37 cents, but right up against key overhead resistance. It looks to me like this stock wants to break out and pop. Target to 17 and 18.5 going forward for AH. Acorn, Akrx, in a beautiful rising channel for the last 7 or 8 months since the April-May rally that broke it out of its base and sent it on its way. Right now, the rising channel here is the top of that channel, I should say, has been reached, but the stock is consolidating very nicely right underneath those highs, and a breakout here could accelerate, and we'll set a target about $8. Up next is Amrn, which we've been discussing for a month now after this big breakaway gap and then following 2-week coil. It broke out 5 or 6 days ago, and it's been edging higher. Now, the last 3 days, you can see it's moved sideways in a flagging type motion, holding around the 7.25, 7.30 range the last 3 sessions. Now, on the other hand, the upside resistance around 8.802 or so has also stymied any additional progress. But with technical surging and with the unbalanced volume near the highs for the year, along with the money stream, we're looking for higher levels, and I have a target around 9.75 to 10, followed by 12 targets for Amrn. APRI may have had a significant move today, popping 41 cents or 12%, breaking out of this coil pattern, breaking across this line, getting what I consider a breakout. Now, the key test is going to be the declining tops line and lateral price resistance up around the 4.25 level. That's what we'll be looking for short term. But if it breaks through that, my trading target is $6. Armh, also a significant price volume surge the last couple sessions. After 90 days of consolidating, the stock broke out yesterday, gapped up this morning and followed through, got all the way up to 21 and then backed off to close at 20.43, up 65 cents on 8.8 million shares. Now, it appears that this stock may be headed higher. The longer-term projections at the top of the channel call for something in the potentially high 20s, but we'll set a short-term trading target at 24. Bsqr, fantastic pattern, especially since it accelerated out of this shallow rising angle of ascent into the November pop, strong surge here, another pop a week ago, and now a consolidation taking place. Now, there was resistance around the 8.99 zone. That was a short-term target. I think we'll achieve that. But more importantly, if it continues to accelerate, look for something around 11 and then 13, 14 zone. CIS, beautiful rising channel in place. The stock popped out in November, settled back to test and retest, held, and then popped a couple, 3 days ago, pulled back yesterday, and today had a reversal day to the upside, and closed not far off the early December all-time post-IPO highs. The rising angle of ascent at the top of the channel calls for a move to the 28.5 area. That's our short-term target, and we'll monitor that to see what we get after that. Eastman Kodak is moving higher after popping in October and consolidating for 5 weeks. It popped again in December, pulled back for a couple days, and now has moved from about the 5 to almost 6 level just in the last week. Looking for a test of the 640.50 zone. That's our trading target. Beyond that, 7.5, 7.75. And the Logics popped out of a coil here a couple weeks ago, kept running, paused for a couple of days, and today accelerating again up another 3%, but more importantly, closing at the highest level in 10 years. We can see lateral price resistance that may take us up towards the 10.5, 11 zone as a secondary target, but our near-term target is around the 8.75 area. That's what we'll call for and the Logics. Ftk had a nice run up in November, a real sharp one, and now it's consolidating for the last couple of weeks here in what looks like a wedging or coiling type pattern. The volume got low, popped yesterday and then today backed off in what I call an inside day, and that inside day came on lower volume. So let's look for a break of this line to get us up to the 6 1/4, 6 1/2 area. That's our secondary. That's our trading target if and when it breaks out over 485. HDY, Hyperdynamics, after accelerating out of this wedge pattern, has been moving steadily higher. Today spiked up another 69 cents or 16% on nearly 4 million shares. At this point, it looks like it's headed towards our 596 target, and that's a short-term target. Longer term, though, the way this thing looks, if it breaks through the 550 area, that thing could spike up towards the 6.5, 7 zone. That's what we'll call our trading target on this one. Up next is IGOI. Now, IGO popped in November, a big volume, and settled into a beautiful bull consolidation, then popped again and so formed a bull flag, both of which held the moving averages. Now the stock is spiked up another 23% or 6.3% today, reaching near the top of the short-term channel. Now, if we do accelerate here, I expect to move towards 4.5, our trading target. Secondary target up around 5.5. JBL on strong earnings has been accelerating the last couple sessions. You'll see that the head and shoulders type pattern here was broken recently. Then a flag ensued. Then an explosion yesterday. It took it up through key overhead resistance going back several years, and accelerating another 56 cents today. At this point, it looks like we may see a move that takes it towards the top of this accelerated channel, and that calls for a move. Perhaps we've seen the top of that move. If we do accelerate here, then we're looking at 22. That's my short-term trading target. Let's call it 22.5. Llcm, local.com, still accelerating. Backed off a little bit this morning and came back again to close only off a penny, near unchanged. Top of the channel at around 8.25, 8.5 is my trading target, and that's what I'll be looking for in Llcm. In VMI, swing trade target. Swing trade idea of the tech trader, moving up in a beautiful 4-month rising channel. Lateral price resistance is where it closed today, right at 8.25, up another 4.4%. As volume accelerated to the heaviest in 3 weeks. It looks to me like if it gets through this zone, we can see it spike up towards the 9.5, 10 area, and then 11. Office Depot, ODP, had a significant price volume surge and broke out across this lateral price resistance that's held it back for the last several months. Volume surged to 21.1 million shares today as technicals moved as well. It appears that this stock may be headed for a date with the target up around the 6 3/4, 7 zone. That's our trading target. Rediff had a big day today, popping out of this wedge pattern, which had followed this nice pop here and then consolidation. Notice the low volume. Technicals held up very well and now accelerating to even higher levels with the money stream at the high for the year here, ahead of price. That indicates maybe potentially a higher level. I'm looking for a test of 6 1/4, half, and then beyond that 7 3/4. Satcon, surging of late, broke the declining tops line of the last couple months with a move a couple days ago, and again yesterday, today, following through with another 25 cent or 5.6% run up on 2.8 million shares. That's the heaviest volume in a couple 3 weeks. It looks like we are going to accelerate to test the top of the channel that comes in around 5 short term. That may be obviously tomorrow, but the target at the top of the longer term channel around 6, 6 1/4 is what I'm looking at. SHZ, China's Shenzhou, which we've talked about quite a few times in the last month or two, had the big pop in October. A 6-week coil broke out, pulled back, moved back up to retest the October high, and has settled into a 6-7 day flag here. It looks like a bullish flag with great technicals. A breakout over 490, and this is off to the races with a target of 6 3/4. Xoma had a big day yesterday and today with a nice follow-through session. Back-to-back days like this on heavy volume like this usually indicate trend change, although it may back and fill and consolidate at some point. Momentum is strong enough to potentially get this up towards the 5.5, 6 zone, maybe as high as 7 on a short-term basis. And lastly for today is Zoom, which also had a big session, popping across its major declining tops line, across lateral price resistance, reaching secondary resistance before backing off but closing up $1.19 or 31% on 6.2 million shares. By far the biggest volume the stock has traded in over a year. So perhaps a significant day for the stock in that the key resistance was broken. This pullback may be affording an opportunity to get back in for a move that takes us up to test the 7.5 range, my short-term trading target. And that's it for tonight. The techtrader.com is closed Friday, and so tonight's video will be our last for this week. We'll talk to you Monday night. Have a nice Christmas. Happy holidays.